I can feel your eyes on me. You are near, chasing down my silver light.
So you fancy yourself a McClellan and have the urge to conquer the South, free the slaves, and return the rebellious states back into the fold of our glorious Union. Well, then stick around as we review the Army of Northeastern Virginia. As it fought at the Battle of Bull Run, we'll cover its famous brigade commanders and historic regiments, and we'll look at the army that fought the American Civil War would be over after just one battle. Welcome, my fellow mush eaters, to this Army of the Northeastern Virginia review, American Civil War mod for Napoleon Total War. I've decided that it's about time we start talking about the various army factions and the respective units that fought in them. I'm not going to give a history of each individual unit, because then these videos would be hundreds of hours long. But with that being said, let's get into it. The Army of Northeastern Virginia has some of the largest unit sizes in the mod for Union Army units, but not all is created equal. While they have large unit sizes, some of their weapons don't have the range needed, and many have low morale. So if you're taking this army into multiplayer battle, make sure you carefully look at the stats that we are about to go over. You may, in multiplayer, mix and match your units, but for demonstration purposes, we're going to be looking at these units by brigades. And first up is Franklin's Brigade. Now, we all know absolutely the 1st Minnesota with Colonel Willis A. Gorman. Let's go ahead and take a look at their statistics. We're going to do this. Not every unit card has a background, but many of them do. So if you want to read a little bit more, this is your time to pause and take a look. I've already read almost all of them, so I'm not going to go over it again, but I will let you guys see each one that has a background. Now, the standard range for units in the American Civil War is going to be 170 for this mod. Something you want to be keenly aware of with what kind of units are bringing what kind of weapons when you put them into the lineup for how you want to fight. Obviously, right here we have the famous 1st Minnesota. I think needs no introduction to American Civil War history nerds. This was one of the most famous units that fought in the war, and they had these brilliant red shirts that they started the war off with. Their accuracy is fantastic at 27, and you'll see as we get into a lot of these other units, you'll be like, all right, these aren't so good. Their reloading is excellent at 25, and their ammunition is great at 60. Their melee attack is a little bit less than what we would like them to be, but at 10, it serves decently. And especially with if you're fighting against the Confederate Army that fought at Bull Run, then these guys are going to be good to go against almost all of them. Now, their charge bonus is pretty great at 21, and their defense at 14 is solid. Their morale at 12 is perfect. That's right. We want to be over that 10 mark when we're looking at units that we want to bring into combat with us. When they're under 10 is when you're going to have start having problems. All right, let's go on to the 11th Massachusetts here, bringing 630 men to the battlefield under Colonel George Clark. Now their range, look at that. Their range is 135, which means that if you have them paired up next to each other with the 1st Minnesota is going to start shooting and maybe even taking fire, and these guys will have to wait till the rebels get closer. They're using older style weapons, so their ammunition or their range is not as far. Now, their accuracy is 26, their reloading skill is 25, and their ammunition is 60. Their melee attack is a little bit better at 13, and their charge bonus is pretty decent. But their defense and their morale are low, so maybe use these guys either as a front line, or you want to make a speed bump for the enemy. This is a good regiment to do it with. I should probably show them, too. All right, here we go with the 11th Massachusetts. Looking pretty dandy, if I don't say so myself. All right, let's go to the 5th Massachusetts here. Bringing 606 men to the battlefield. Of course, that range, once again, is 135, so we always want to be careful with that. But pairing those two regiments next to each other and using them as kind of a shorter range brigade element is really nice. Always pay attention to how far your guys can shoot. It's vitally important. All right, over here we've got our reloading skill at 25. It's pretty decent. Their melee attack at 13 and their charge bonus at 17. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to use these boys to try and break an enemy hard point. Their defense and their morale is at 9. So if you're going to be doing that, make sure you bring up your general right behind them to keep their morale up while you're sending them into the fight. All right. We're going to head right over. All right. Here we've got the 1st Michigan bringing 472 men to the battle. Their range is just 100. These boys are using buck and ball, something to be very, very aware of when you're on the battlefield. If you've got buck and ball, then you want to wait until the enemy gets nice and close before you open up with that first volley. Their accuracy and their reloading skill is poor, something to be aware of. Their melee attack is 9 and their charge bonus is 13. Their defense and their morale are both 9 and 7. So we're kind of seeing something here. The 1st Minnesota, that's what we want. This is what we want guys to look like when we're bringing them into battle. Of course, when we look at later armies, you're going to see that a lot of them have this already. But for the Army of Northeastern Virginia, this is a great start. All right. Now we're going to move on to my favorite brigade in this entire army is under Porter.
Order, sir.
First up, the famous 14th New York Militia. All right. So we can take a look. Their range is 170. Their accuracy is 35. Absolutely excellent. Their reloading skill is 30. They've got plenty of ammunition to last through the whole battle. And their melee attack is 17. Their charge bonus is 26. Their defense is 10. And their morale is high at 14. So we're sticking these boys right in the front line, and we're going to let them hold it all day long. Next up in Wilcox's brigade, though, is the 27th New York in their gray, almost Confederate uniforms. We're going to take a look here. Their range is 170, their accuracy 25, their reloading skill 23. This is good. We could stick these boys right next to the 14th and be quite happy with the service that they provide. And if the enemy gets too close, just charge them right into them. Not too close, though. Running in this mod severely depletes your troops' energy, and they'll run away when they're tired. So, gotta be cognizant of that. Now, my favorite unit in the whole game, I absolutely love taking these boys, is the United States Marine Corps Battalion, led by Major General John G. Reynolds, of course. Now, their range is perfect, their accuracy and their reloading skill's okay. Their melee attack is 7, and their charge bonus is 16, which is nice. Their defense and their morale could be a little bit higher, I feel like. As U.S. Marines, they're pretty disciplined. But overall, I always bring them. I can't help it as a Marine myself. But still a good unit to have. Great for posting on the flanks. And when your enemy extends his line, you can move them just a little bit farther. So, especially being a lot smaller, that helps. So, now we're moving on to the 8th New York. So, the 8th New York does pretty well. Solid service, but they've got that low range. So, they don't have rifled muskets. I think they just have regular muskets. Something to be aware of. A lot of Confederate units will have muskets as well, especially even in the later armies. Just something to be aware of. So, decent accuracy and reloading skill. And good melee attack, I suppose, for this early war army. The charging bonus is nice. And their defense and morale is pretty low. So, if you're going to fight later war armies with this group, just be aware that if they charge you, they might break your troops pretty often. So, make sure you have your general moving around to keep them protected. Alrighty. Now we're going to move on to the United States Infantry Battalion of 8 companies, led by Major George Sykes. Obviously, you know, a lot of these guys go on to become very famous generals in the American Civil War. Range is 170. Their accuracy and reloading skill is 25 and 23. And their melee attack is okay, and their charge bonus is high. and their defense is really good. But the morale is still around that under 10. That can pose a problem. Now we're going to move on to General Sherman's brigade. Also one of the brigades you should be bringing if you're going to be taking this army. Absolutely no contest. Why? Man, the famous 69th. How can you go wrong with these bad boys? So, the problem is, though, they are carrying buck and ball. And their accuracy and their reloading skills pretty good, but you're going to want them to get nice and close to those Confederates before they open fire. Their melee attack and their charging bonus is real high. So maybe you could pair them up with the 1st Minnesota and kind of have them trail them right behind them, swing them around, and get a nice charge up in the gut there. So their defense is decent, I suppose, and their morale is really high at 13. So absolutely always bring the 69th if you can. Use them at close range, and they'll do good work for you. All right. Got the 79th New York here with their fancy, fancy pants. Look at that. And let you guys read this if you want. But also packing just 100 range. That means buck and ball. So their accuracy and their reloading skills okay. Their melee attack and their charge bonus. That's pretty nice. So these guys are great. Get a nice volley in, a full-length volley with both of these, and then charge them in with the support of your general behind them. Doing a... you can inspire them or rally them, and they'll stay in the fight for you. So, all right.
Reporting, General.
Let's look at the absolutely famous 2nd Wisconsin. We'll take a look at these bad boys. They've got good range. We're back to rifled muskets here with excellent accuracy and reloading skill. The melee attack, something to be desired. I wish it would be a little more, but their charge bonus kind of makes up for it a little bit. You know, they're bringing 800 men, so this is a very large size regiment to get into. All right. We've got the 13th, New York. Let's take a look here. Bringing 760 men. The good range of 170. They've got a little bit lower accuracy and reloading skill. So these guys are going to be just fine for holding the line and duking it out, but something to be aware of while you're fighting. Alrighty. We're going to head over to Wilcox's brigade here. You might actually, if you look at the map, you'll see that I'm on the wrong side of Bull Run, but just wanted to show folks that you can switch to both sides in case you would like to play as the Union defending and the Confederates attacking, or however you want to do it. So lots of replayability there. All right, look at the 11th New York with these fancy red hats of theirs. Absolutely beautiful looking. But their range is 135, which means they're using smoothbore muskets, not rifled ones. They've got good accuracy and reloading skill, which is nice. Good attack, good charge bonus, poor defense and morale, but that's okay. It's a little bit early war. You can also give these guys chevrons if you want. You can maybe sacrifice a regiment or two and take that money and apply it to give them a little bit better, higher stats, but all around good unit. Over here we've got the 38th, bringing 650 men, led by Colonel Ward, which is very nice, but also that 135 range. Got to be careful with that. Sometimes you'll look, you'll be like, why are these guys shooting? And then you just open up their unit card, and that'll tell you why. So, and that's a right click on one of these is what'll open it up for you. So we've got the accuracy here, good reloading skill, good charge bonus, and melee attack. Perfect. But once again, they're not going to stay in combat for long, especially if they get overwhelmed or attacked in the flank. So something to be aware of.
Reporting, General.
Alrighty. Here we go. 135. So we've got quite a few guys here that are using regular muskets. Okay in everything else. Would be great at attacking. Maybe only if you were fighting another Confederate army. The Army of the Potomac, they called it in 1861. So But you got to be real careful if you're fighting late war armies who are going to be much smaller in regiment size, but their troops are going to be a lot more experienced. Alrighty.
Reporting, General.
Over here with the 4th Michigan. Alright. Using that buck and ball. 730 troops they're bringing in. Their accuracy is poor, and their reloading skill is low. So something to keep in mind when you're using these boys. Their melee attack and their charge bonus is something to be desired. And their defense and morale are pretty standard for the Army so far. Keep them in line. Use your general to rally them if need be, but always be aware of that. Alright, now we're going into Blanker's Brigade. We're going to take a look at the 27th Pennsylvania here. And let you guys read this if you like. Just go ahead and give it a pause. Of course, they've got 135 range, which means rifled muskets will be able to outdistance them. They also have poor accuracy and reloading skill. And we would wish they could be a little bit better on the attack, but this is great defensive stats. 10 morale and 13 morale and 10 defense. I would like to stick these guys in just a little bit back of a tree line, see if I can bait the enemy to come out over the open ground and then bring them up. And let their kind of short range keep the enemy at bay for a little bit, at least. All right. Let's take a look. We've got the 8th New York here. And the 8th New York also has that short range of 135. Their accuracy and reloading skill, yeah, it's pretty close. Their charge bonus is okay, and their defense and the melee attack, I wish it was more. But good for defense, right? Good defense at 9 and morale at 11. I would pair these guys up with other units that are at 135, so I know that the entire brigade has a short range.
Reporting, General.
Just something to think about. All right. Going into another famous regiment here, the 39th New York, well known for their famous hats. Well modeled here. Looks very nice. Of course, they've got that 135 range as well. Low accuracy and reloading skill. And kind of everything else. So, works as a great unit to kind of keep in the rear. Maybe plug a gap if one opens up. They should do good work there. All right. Moving on to the 29th New York. Also has that short range of 135. Very low accuracy and reloading skill. Kind of everything else. So, melee attack, charge bonus, defense, and morale. We're going to move on to the 16th. Also with that 135 range. Low accuracy and reloading skill. Their melee attack is the lowest we've yet seen at 6. And their charge bonus is 13. So, maybe not send them in to receive an attack or be attacked. Keep them in the rear if you can. Now, there is only one cav unit for the Army of Northeastern Virginia. It's in Porter's Brigade, United States Cavalry Battalion of 7 companies, led by Major Palmer. We're going to take a look. Their range is pretty decent at 150. Their accuracy and reloading skills a little bit low, but that's okay because it's the only cav unit we have. You always want to bring cav at least a little bit. Every time I don't, I regret it. So bring them if you're going to field this army. It's all you get. Their melee attack is very low, and their charge bonus is low. I'm using these guys. Their morale is high, though, at 15. I'm using these guys for reconnaissance, maybe to delay the enemy, and if I get the chance to take out some artillery units if they were left out in the open. Alrighty. Next up, we're looking at Davies Brigade. We have the 18th New York. Look at that. We're finally starting to get back in that range where guys are carrying rifled muskets. I love it. Unfortunately, their accuracy and their reloading skill is pretty low, but it's pretty normal for this early age army here. They have poor melee attack and charge bonus. Okay morale and defense, I guess it could go lower, right? All right, so I'm going to move on over to the 31st New York here under Colonel Calvin E. Pratt. 686 men bring into the battlefield. But got that 100 range. Always something to be cognizant of when you're maneuvering your troops around on the battlefield. And of course, we've got this melee attack of 7, charge bonus of 14, defense of 9, and a morale of 12. So let's see what else we got here. We've got the 32nd New York with Colonel Matheson, also with that buck and ball shot coming in at 100 range, accuracy of 20, reloading skill of 20. A little bit standard. Obviously, I'm going to use these guys in the back, in the rear, and then if I have the rebels trying to break through a line, I'm going to move them up and be like, all right, you break through that line, you're going to have to get through these guys with their buck and ball. Alrighty. Next up is the 4th Maine. This is with Howard's Brigade. Rifled muskets at 170. A little bit higher, finally, accuracy and reloading skill. Their melee attack is poor, but their charge bonus is decent, and their defense is 8, and their morale is poor. 7 is poor. You don't want big bad boys coming in to kind of... And this is how long you can make this.
Yes, sir.
We'll get them going here.
Reporting,
All right.
General.
So next up, we've got the 2nd Vermont. They've got those regular muskets for us at 135 range. Accuracy is at 22. Reloading skill at 20. Good charge bonus. Fine melee attack, I guess. Could always be worse. Their defense and morale is pretty down there, though. So,
Reporting,
all right,
General.
we'll switch on over here to the 5th Maine. We'll take a look. Obviously, they're using that 135 range. Low accuracy and reloading skill. Melee attack, charge bonus. Pretty similar as far as this brigade is going so far.
Reporting,
So,
General.
got the 1st New Jersey here. Bringing almost 600 men into the battlefield, but they've got them rifled musket, which is very important for reaching out and touching your enemy. Sometimes it can really be working against you to have the Rebs shooting at your guys and you're not able to shoot back. It's not pretty. Alrighty. Now we're gonna go up with Burnside's brigade. Obviously, he becomes general of the Army of the Potomac. Later on, leads them at Fredericksburg, and then the Mud March resigns from that position, kind of in disgrace. But Abraham Lincoln liked the fact that he did not try and blame anyone else. I mean, there were people he was upset at. He was like, "You need to get rid of all these people if I'm going to have generals that work." And they were like, "Well, we could just remove you instead." But he took his blame afterwards, and Lincoln liked that. So he was kept as a corps commander later on, famously being relieved after the Battle of the Crater. Alrighty. So let's take a look. We've got these bad boys at a range of 170, accuracy at 23, and reloading skill of 21. Pretty nice, the Rhode Island Infantry. It's not going to be your best brigade, but they're going to do just fine.
General.
Yeah, we can see we've got the 2nd Rhode Island here with Colonel Slocum. Then Colonel Slocum. A lot of these guys come on to become generals later on. But looking at their accuracy and their reloading skill, you know, it's okay. None of this is great. None of these guys are going to win the day for you by themselves, but that's all right. Over here, we've got that 135 range again with these two out of this brigade, right? That's something to be very important to remember, as these guys, if he was shooting at them like this, then they're not going to be able to shoot back until they get within range. So, something to think about. That's the 2nd Rhode Island here. With 700 men.
Reporting, General.
And then the 71st here, New York, with 644. Not bad. All right, we've got 620 men with the 2nd New Hampshire. Also using those early war muskets, 135 range. Their accuracy and reloading skills a tiny bit better, which is nice. but the melee attack is low, and that defense and morale is pretty low as well. All right. We're going to head on over and take a look at the 2nd Connecticut with Colonel Terry. It's a great last name. And rifled muskets. I like it. 626 men they're bringing in this regiment. Accuracy of 27, finally. A reloading skill of 26, finally. Good ammunition, melee attack, and charge bonus is better than what we've seen so far for a lot of units. And the melee and morale is pretty low. All right, this is with Keyes Brigade. We want to take a look back down to those regular muskets at 135, which is fine, but good accuracy and reloading skill, finally. Better melee attack and charge bonus, a little bit higher, so a little bit better of regiment than what we've been seeing.
Waiting for orders, sir.
Yeah, that was the 2nd main. No.
Battle line.
There we go. That's the 1st Connecticut.
Reporting, General.
Yeah, that's the 2nd main.
Reporting, General.
All right. So we've got our 170 range, finally, some rifled muskets, good accuracy and reloading skill. You'll see some other, you'll be fighting against the Stonewall Brigade or something. You'll be like, wow, these guys are just insane. So, all right. We've got a good melee attack, or poor melee attack, I'm sorry, and charge bonus. We want it to be over 10. Is realistically where you want your melee attack to be. You want that morale over 10 when you're looking at stuff. All right, last, we've got the 3rd Connecticut here, bringing 600 men in. Small, short range. Good accuracy and reloading skill. So a lot of the units that fought in this time period did not have rifled muskets. Some of them did, some of them did not. It was a big mix and range of all sorts of stuff. Finally, it gets consolidated when it becomes the Army of the Potomac, which, of course, we're going to do a review for all of the individual corps for that as well. So keep an eye out. Here we've got the 41st New York, bringing 682 men. It's part of the Reserve Brigade. Not doing too much. Short range with 135. They're going to be outclassed by those with the rifled muskets. They've got low accuracy and reloading skill, low melee, fine charge bonus, and poor defense and morale.
Reporting, General.
All right. And we've got the 3rd New Jersey with Colonel George Taylor bringing 664 men in. Obviously, they've got that short range again and the poor accuracy and reloading skill. But as a reserve brigade, I suppose if you were going to take them as a brigade, then you're going to use them as a reserve, or maybe to try and hold the line if you're going to be dealing, fighting the rebels. This was one of the more interesting maps to take on at Bull Run because you've got to march over so many hills. If you look at the map itself, you'll see those yellow icons, 1, 2, 1, 3. Those are victory points. As long as you hold those when the battle is ending, then you win. It's one thing to try and hold that hill, and you can see, both the Union and Confederates have one. Where I've placed General Sherman here, or Colonel Sherman, is just something to be. This is where it is the Union you would like to push past here, but obviously if you just held these, you would win the match when the time ran out. But it's not what we're going for, right? We want to defeat the rebels. All right, so let's go look at Schneck and his brigade with the 2nd New York. Got that short range, 135. Better accuracy and reloading skill, which is nice. Better melee attack and defense. Morale is pretty much the same. So, we're getting a little bit less. The quality of the troops isn't as great in this second half of the army, but it's about 30,000 troops total. So, if you wanted to, you could play a 2v2 on this map with 2 rebels, and you could have 30, 40, 50,000 troops on the battlefield. Whatever, depending upon what your computer can handle. So, 2nd Ohio with Lieutenant Colonel Rodney Mason. He's bringing 548 men. Obviously has the musket variant and low accuracy. Okay, reloading skill. Better melee attack and charge bonus. And that defense and morale. Finally over 10. That's what you want as your baseline. So let's take a look at the 1st Ohio. 524 men also bringing in, also having rifled muskets. Thank goodness. Have excellent accuracy and reloading skill. Perfect. Good melee attack, good charge bonus, good defense, okay morale. You know, it's a little bit under what we wanted, but that's fine compared to a lot of what we've been seeing. So this makes an excellent regiment to bring in the conflict. All right, we're finally on our last brigade here, which is Richardson's brigade. We're going to take a look. The 1st Massachusetts with Colonel Robert Cowden. 622 men. They're bringing in the battlefield. They've got rifled muskets. Their accuracy and reloading skill, you know, all right, if I have to. All around okay stats, not great, not terrible. Won't win you the battle. We've got let's see, the 12th New York with Colonel Walrath. That's a pretty good last name. Bringing 592 men into this conflict. Range is 170, accuracy 20, reloading skill 20. Pretty good. Charge bonus and defense. Melee attack is almost there. Morale's a little low, but that's okay.
Waiting for orders, sir.
And the last unit we've got is 135 in range, so we know that they're not taking rifled muskets. Their accuracy is low, their reloading skill is low, their melee attack is low, their charge bonus is fine, but the defense and morale, I wish they were a little higher. We all do. But with that saying, that's the last of the troops that you can bring in the Army of Northeastern Virginia. Let's take a look at the King of Battle, the artillery that you can bring. There's a huge range of artillery pieces in this mod. Let's take a look at what they were bringing in the early war. All right. Welcome to the King of Battle as we look at the Army of Northeastern Virginia's artillery selections. You can see some of them are already starting to shoot all on their own. But let's take a look. We've got 1st United States Artillery Battery I with Captain James B. Ricketts. It's a 6-gun, 10-pound battery of Parrots. Their firepower is 18. Their range is 925, which is some of the longest. Their accuracy is 55. Generally, we want to see accuracy maybe a little bit over 60. But some of these Parrots are just like that. They just have lower accuracy. The reloading skill is 25, and their morale is 40. All right. We're going to take a look at the Rhode Island battery here. The 2nd Rhode Island with Captain William H. Reynolds. It's a 6-gun, 13-pound James rifled battery. Firepower of 12, range of 915, accuracy of 65. That's what we want to bring. A reloading skill of 30. Explosive shells, canister shot, quicklime shells can hide in woodlands and scrub and long grass, all sorts of nice stuff. See all of those right down here. Of course, we can tell these boys to limber up and get them on the move. Just be a little careful that sometimes when you're playing multiplayer matches, if you unlimber and limber your troops, they can get bugged. And then they'll be stuck there. So there we go. These boys are... And just like that, they're ready to go.
Waiting for orders, sir.
Alrighty. So let's take a look. We've got Brookwood's New York Artillery. It was with Blanker's Brigade. 6 guns. Model of 1841. So, definitely an older style series of guns. In the later war armies, only really the rebels will still have them. The Union, not as much. Firepower is really nice, though, at 90. But that short range means that they can be counter-batteried pretty well. something to be aware of. And their accuracy is 45, the reloading skill is 25, and they have very high morale, which is nice. Excuse me. All right, now we've got our United States artillery with Company G, 6 guns with the model 1841. Once again, we see that good firepower but low range. Their accuracy is fine, and their reloading skill is okay, and their morale is 40. 5th United States Artillery, Company D, Captain Charles Griffin. 10-pound Parrots, absolutely. Low firepower, but really good range. Really decent accuracy at that 55, of course, and the reloading skill is 25. But they've got high morale. The first thing you want to do, though, when you set up your artillery pieces, is you want to engage enemy artillery pieces, because it becomes very difficult to win if you lose the artillery duel. So always bring stuff. How it works in the mod is that the United States has better rifled artillery, and the Confederacy has better howitzers. So, all right, now we're looking at 2nd United States Artillery, Company G, with Lieutenant Oliver Green, with 4 guns and a 10-pound Parrot battery, which is pretty nice. Good range. Low firepower, but that's okay. We're trying to knock out enemy guns, right? So that's what we want to focus on.
Artillery reporting.
All right, they just see the the enemy general slowly comes into view, and they take a shot at him. All right, 1st United States Artillery, 20-pound Parrots battery. Decent range and accuracy is very nice. Reloading skill is good, and that firepower is low though. But if we're gonna try and knock out their guns, that's what we want to use.
Orders.
All right. Over here, we've got 3rd United States Artillery, Company E, with Captain B. Ayres. Obviously, we know he does not stay as a captain. Goes on to become a very influential general who fought in some of the craziest and largest battles of the Civil War. He's got very low firepower here. His range is 925. His accuracy is 55. And his reloading skill a little bit slower there too. So let's take a look. We've got 2nd United States. Just 2 guns. Batteries come in, I think, 8, 6, 4, and 2, and even 1 gun batteries. So sometimes if I'm playing someone, I will bring a ton of 1 battery guns or 2 battery guns. So it just makes them like have to divert all of their shots onto 1 unit at a time. Alrighty. So pretty good. The 2nd United States 13-pound James rifle battery. Not bad. A little bit lower range than that. Accuracy of 65 is good. That firepower is low, though. Let's see what the 2nd United States is. Take a look. Watch him. Watch him shoot here. So, 2nd United States Artillery. Oh, they ran away. We'll continue here. The 2nd United States Artillery, low firepower, good range. That 915 is kind of what you're going to be fighting. It's like the upper limit of Confederate range, I think. I have to look again to be sure, but good accuracy, good reloading skill, everything that you want. So, all right. Of course, this is only half of the artillery. Let's take a look at the others. Oh, also, I did not include all the artillery because some of it is bugged, so that's why we just skipped to the end here. So, the artillery that I already reviewed that you saw, you can take those by name, but skip the others. One of those is bugged. I haven't been able to find out what. So, with that, my friends, I'll see you in the next episode of our Army review. We will be doing the 1st Corps right before the Battle of Antietam in 1862. All right, my friends, and that's going to be it for our review today for the Army of Northeastern Virginia. That fought at the Battle of Bull Run. We're here on the Bull Run map in our correct locations and spots, playing against the AI. It's less than stellar, but is okay. And this is the Army composition I decided to bring. You're more than welcome to take a look at it if you like. But with that, my friends, I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and have a great one, Mush Eaters. Bye-bye.
Close your eyes and hear my voice.